All right, Doug again here. I'm going to answer a question by Chanelle. Chanelle, I like your spunk. You got a little bit of spice to your question here. You said, how do you know God is real? Great question. I've asked it myself. And then you said, is this some sort of sick fairy tale to make money? Because how much is made in Bibles every year and how much is thrown into those little collection baskets at church every Sunday? Nobody has actually seen them, right? So how do we know God's real, and is it just a trick to make money? Good question. Let me start with the money thing. First of all, Bible, believe it or not, the Bible is actually the #1 selling book in the world on the New York Times bestseller list. They've actually stopped putting it in the #1 position because it's always there anyway, and so they might as well just assume that the Bible's there and they give everybody else top spot. All right, so the Bible is actually the #1 selling book in the world. Now, the collection baskets at church as well, okay, immense amounts of money come into that collection basket every week. So you and I know that your school has raised a lot of money. And I've been with a lot of different schools that have raised a lot of money, and we've seen it go to some really, really good projects, okay? Churches are there to serve the people who have a need, all right? So that's where the money goes in the church collection basket. And the people who publish and print Bibles as well have a really strong desire to help other people through handing out the Bible. It's a little windy today. Okay, so that's where the money kind of goes. And have there been things done wrong with it? Of course there have. And these people, just like you and me, are human and they make mistakes, they get greedy and that kind of thing. And so, yes, things have been done with the money through the church that have been wrong, but far, far, far more good has been done with the money that's collected through all the things that the Christian and Catholic churches are all involved in. But the second part of your question, is this actually real? Is Jesus actually real? Is God real? Because nobody's seen him before. There's 3 ways that we know God is real, okay? The first one is through creation, the second one is through the Bible, and the third one is through his son Jesus, right? So if I was to say to you, is a little town in the United States called Nantucket, is it real? Okay, have you ever been to Nantucket before? I've never been to Nantucket before, and yet I know that it exists. How do I know that it exists? Well, people have told me that it exists. I've heard stories about Nantucket on the news. I've seen it in the atlas before. Google Maps has got Nantucket on the map. So I've never been there. I've never seen Nantucket. I think it's a very nice place based on what I've known and read about it. But how do I know it actually exists? Well, I hear the stories and I believe those stories, right? And so that's also one of the reasons that we believe the Bible is true. It's come down through generations and generations of very reliable people. They've been prayed about. All of the books in the Bible have been prayed about. We know the stories of Jesus. We actually have historical proof that Jesus existed. We have all of the historical accounts of what Jesus did in his life by the people who were actually with him. And if you have ever been to a place like Jasper National Park, or one of my favorite places just a little bit further west into the mountains there by a little town called Valemount, okay, or anywhere beautiful, a sunset in the evening at your lake cabin, we know that there's an immense amount of beauty in creation. And if we sit and we ponder that, we begin to understand that there's something really incredible, something really great that created this planet and this universe that we live in. And we believe that that something was an immense being by the name of God, is how we call him. And so there's God, there's the Bible, there's Jesus Christ, and that's how we know that God exists. Then when we start dealing with each other, just by knowing that you're a really great person, I can see that God created you to be an awesome young lady. And so I believe that that is also another sign that God exists. So is he real? Yeah, it takes a certain amount of faith, just like believing in Nantucket when you've never been there. It takes a certain amount of faith to believe that God is real, but we also have some very, very compelling evidence that he is actually real. And that's getting even stronger as scientists dive into it. They're starting to say, hey, you know what? Something had to do this because it just couldn't happen on its own. There are many, many scientists who are coming to those conclusions now. Chanelle, I love your question. Thanks very much, and I hope that helps. And I just want you to know that the reason God is so incredible is because he does love you and me very, very much, and he thinks you're an incredible young lady as well. Thanks, Chanelle. Thanks, everybody. We'll talk to you again soon in the next video.